Most men believe respect comes from speaking, from explaining themselves clearly, defending their opinions, and proving that they are right. We are taught from a young age that confidence means expressing yourself, arguing your point, and making sure your voice is heard. But something strange happens in real life. The more a man talks, the less people seem to listen. You can see it in meetings, social situations, and even simple conversations. One person keeps explaining their point again and again. They talk more, repeat themselves, add more arguments, trying harder and harder to convince everyone in the room. But slowly, people stop paying attention. Meanwhile, another person sits quietly. He listens. He watches the conversation unfold. And when he finally speaks, the room becomes silent. People listen carefully to every word he says. Why does this happen? Why does the man who talks less often gain more respect? This pattern was noticed long before modern psychology existed. Ancient philosophers were already writing about it centuries ago, and the Stoics had a very clear explanation for why restraint in speech creates authority. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius spent most of his life surrounded by conflict. He dealt with political enemies, military crises, betrayal, and constant criticism. Yet in his private journal, he reminded himself of a simple rule: you always have the option of having no opinion. At first, this idea sounds strange. Today, we are taught the exact opposite. We are told to react immediately, to defend our position, to argue our perspective. If someone criticizes you, explain yourself. If someone disagrees with you, debate them. If someone insults you, prove them wrong. But Marcus Aurelius understood something that most people miss. Not every situation deserves your reaction, and not every person deserves your energy. When someone feels the need to respond to everything, they slowly lose control over their own emotional state. Their mood begins to depend on the behavior of other people. A rude comment can ruin their day. A disagreement can turn into a long argument. A small insult can trigger anger that lasts for hours. The Stoics believed this constant reaction is a hidden form of weakness. The philosopher Epictetus explained this idea very clearly. He said that if someone can easily provoke your emotions, they already have power over you. If a stranger can make you angry with a few words, then that stranger controls your emotional state more than you do. Think about how often this happens in modern life. Someone posts a comment online and thousands of people immediately react. Arguments begin, insults follow, and people spend hours defending themselves against complete strangers. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior shows something deeper than disagreement. It shows a lack of emotional independence. True strength begins when your emotional stability no longer depends on the actions of others. To understand this better, imagine a simple situation. Two men are sitting in a meeting at work. Both of them present an idea. After the presentation, someone in the room criticizes their work. The first man reacts immediately. He interrupts. He starts explaining why the criticism is unfair. He raises his voice slightly, not aggressively, but defensively. He begins listing reasons why his idea still works. He keeps talking, trying to protect his reputation in front of everyone. But something interesting happens. The more he explains, the more insecure he appears. It starts to feel like he is trying to convince people that he is right, rather than simply presenting his idea. Now imagine the second man. He listens carefully to the criticism. He allows the other person to finish speaking. He does not interrupt. He does not rush to defend himself. Instead, he pauses for a moment before responding. Then he says something simple and calm, maybe just one or two sentences. Sometimes he simply thanks the person for the feedback and continues the conversation without any emotional reaction. Which man appears more confident? Which man seems more in control? Most people instinctively respect the second man more. Not because he spoke better, not because he had stronger arguments, but because he did not feel the need to defend himself emotionally. The Stoics believed that disciplined speech reflects a disciplined mind. When a person cannot control their words, it often means they cannot control their thoughts either. And when someone speaks impulsively, reacting to every situation, it reveals emotional instability. But when someone speaks carefully, slowly, and only when necessary, it signals something very different. It suggests patience, self-control, and inner stability, and these qualities naturally attract respect. Another Stoic philosopher, Seneca, wrote extensively about emotional control and how it affects the way people perceive us. He believed that uncontrolled reactions slowly destroy a person's authority. When someone reacts emotionally to every small event, people begin to see them as unstable. Their mood changes constantly. One moment they are calm, the next moment they are angry or defensive. Over time, others stop taking their reactions seriously. But when someone remains calm even in difficult situations, something different happens. People begin to associate that calmness with strength. They assume that the person must have a strong inner foundation because their behavior does not change under pressure. Modern psychology actually supports many of these Stoic observations. Studies have shown that people naturally associate calm behavior with competence and confidence. When someone reacts emotionally to every challenge, others often interpret it as insecurity. But when someone stays composed, speaks slowly, and avoids unnecessary arguments, it signals that they feel comfortable with themselves. In other words, silence can communicate confidence more clearly than words ever could. This is why many respected leaders throughout history were known for speaking less, not more. They listened carefully, observed the situation, and only spoke when their words truly mattered. The Stoics practiced a simple habit that helped them develop this kind of control. They trained themselves to slow down their reactions. Before responding to something emotional, they paused. Sometimes only for a few seconds, sometimes longer. That short pause created a small distance between the event and their reaction, and inside that distance, reason had time to appear. Instead of reacting impulsively, they could choose how to respond. This habit might seem simple, but over time it completely changes the way a person behaves in stressful situations. Arguments become shorter, conflicts lose their intensity, emotional situations become easier to navigate, and slowly people begin to notice something different about you. They notice that you are difficult to provoke. They notice that you do not rush into arguments. They notice that you remain calm when others lose control. This creates a powerful reputation, not a reputation based on dominance or aggression, but a reputation based on stability. People begin to see you as someone who cannot easily be shaken. And this type of quiet strength is often far more respected than loud confidence. In a world filled with constant noise, emotional reactions, and endless debates, calm behavior becomes rare, and rare qualities naturally gain value. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Strength does not always appear in loud voices or long explanations. Sometimes strength appears in patience, in discipline, and in the ability to remain calm when everyone else reacts emotionally, because the man who controls his reactions controls something far more important than the situation around him. He controls himself. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, criticize you, or pull you into an unnecessary argument, pause for a moment before responding. Ask yourself a simple question. Does this situation truly deserve my reaction? Or is silence the stronger response? Sometimes the most powerful thing a person can say is nothing at all.